Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. And I'm back again as the voice of the Vasectomites. And today I wanted us to discuss, as you can see on your screen, your bad habits, or just bad habits in general that most people usually have. But I'd like you to consider, when we go through today's edification, how many of these bad habits do you have, and how many of them should you keep away from other people through the deceptive arts, more specifically being deceptive through omission. I was also hoping that we would have an evolved conversation and take a nuanced perspective of what, quite frankly, is a very old topic in humanity and the discussion about humanity. Everyone has bad habits. All right, every single person has bad habits. There have people could have good habits, and they have bad habits too. So let's answer the question: what is it? What is a habit? A habit is an action that is taken repeatedly, regularly, and often, and is done usually without thinking about it, or at least thinking twice about it. Now, think of this. Think of this, right? This meaning here. An action, so it's something that you do that is done repeatedly. So you do it again and again, and regularly, and often, right? So you do it repeatedly, you do it again and again, and you do it regularly. And you do it quite often without thinking about it. A bad habit is smoking, right? If a person who was a smoker actually thought for a moment about what they were doing to themselves and what the consequences were of what they were doing, things like cancer, heart disease, organ failure, and other unpleasant things, right? If you had thought about it, would you actually do it? If you were given all the information and the consequences and saw somebody meet their demise because of this habit, would you indulge in it? Would you partake in it? Chances are no. But you do it without thinking about it, right? So you don't think twice about it. You don't question it. You don't doubt it, right? It is a settled or regular tendency, right? I like that word, tendency. Something that is personal to you, right? A tendency or a practice, an action. So it's an action that is personal to you, right? That is settled. In other words, it is entrenched in you. So this thing is entrenched, it's repeated, it's a tendency, it's personal, and you do it and you don't even know you're doing it half the time. All right? For us, the practitioners of the deceptive arts, this definition gives us both perspective, right, an opportunity for insight and self-improvement. Surely you must know that you have things that you do that you don't think about. Everyone has habits, right? Everybody has bad habits. And if you have bad habits, then you need to stop them and work on supplementing those negative traits with positive and useful and satisfying ones. So I gave the example of smoking as a bad habit, and you do it repeatedly and without thinking. You don't even know what you're doing. You're doing it. It's settled, it's entrenched, it's a personal habit, right? If you were going to supplement those negative traits with positive and useful ones, you also want those useful habits to be satisfying to you, right? So, what many people will recommend are things like patches, things like gums, things like vaping, right? Now, I'm not recommending any of those things, right? I'm not recommending any of those things. However, I can understand that those other various things are infinitely better for you than actually smoking, right? They are infinitely better for you and healthier for you than smoking. So what you want is to move away from the bad habit and then supplement it with useful, positive, satisfying traits. I throw in the word satisfying because really there is no point in picking up positive practices and activities if all they do is make you miserable. So I myself, I exercise regularly. Do I always enjoy it? No, but I love the benefits. Really, I'm all about the benefits and the results. There's no emotions involved in this, right? I'm all about the benefits. I weigh myself every single day, right? And my next thing is to put myself on a very strict eating schedule. So something where I eat like 4 or 5 days a week, and for 2 days I'll go on like a fast. But I want to do this for a long time. But again, I'm not doing this because I don't like eating or because I want to avoid negative results. Really, I could care less about avoiding negative results. I just like the fact that I look a particular way. So I will do the things to get me to look that way. When I look at myself, I'm satisfied with the results. That's it. Right? That's what I want. I want that personal satisfaction. Right? Because there's no point in doing something that's going to leave you feeling miserable in the end. So you're going to do something difficult. You're going to run 10Ks every day, and at the end of the week, you don't like the way you look. You don't like the way you feel. Now, it's one thing to not like the way you feel because I'm exhausted at the end of the week. However, I like the way that I look, so I continue, right? I have a point of satisfaction. I have a purpose to it, and I believe that I'm achieving that purpose with every activity, every interaction, every exercise, and there is evidence to prove that, right? Not just my own vision. I don't work on my own vision. I use a scale, and I weigh myself every day. There's some people that tell you should only weigh yourself 3 times a week. I'm telling you, you can ignore those people, right? You want to see if you gain 1 gram, you want to see that as soon as you gain it. You don't want to wait 3 days to be surprised that, oh, I've actually gained 2 kilograms over 3 days. When you want to see those grams go up and down every single day, so you know if you're moving in the right direction or you need to change. What's the purpose of monitoring yourself sometimes? You need to be constantly monitoring yourself. The corporations do, they're constantly monitoring you. So you need to be constantly monitoring yourself, right? Build those are what we call good habits, right? Satisfying habits, right? What is the use? What is the use to develop positive habits if all you do is lament not being able to do what you really want and not getting the results that you want. Because ultimately, right, it doesn't matter how positive the habit is, right? If you're not satisfied with the habit or the results, all you'll do is obsess over the thing that you want to do, right? And prioritize that obsession above doing the things that you should be doing. Right? So think of it like this. Think of it like a former addict of an illicit substance, right? So like let's say a smoker, right? We have smoking, but you can choose any habit, any illicit substance, right? Now think of how when they stop, right, using that illicit substances and they stop participating in their proclivities, right? But they stop, however, all they do is talk about that substance. You've seen that, right? Somebody has stopped using an illicit substance or stopped selling an illicit substance or stopped dealing or was incarcerated for illicit substances in one way or another, right? You can use anything to indicate this, but I'm going to use illicit substances. And then all they do is talk about that time. It could be 2 years, it could be 10 years when they used that particular illicit substance, right? Then they write books about it. They'll try and make shows about it. They'll go on to podcasts and do interviews to talk about it. Then what they'll do is, they'll start to provide mentorship, right? So, I'm here to help people who are suffering with this type of addiction, right? And they won't be like a qualified professional or anything. They won't be trained psychologist or anything like that. They'll just be like a pure volunteer. It's just somebody who comes up and says, "Hey, I want to work with these kind of people." Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wakes up and says, "You know what? I want to deal with this kind of people every day for the rest of my life." No way. But you do, right? The former addicts do, they'll do all kinds of things in and around and involving and talking about and discussing that illicit stuff, that substance, right? And everything that has to do with that substance, everything except the substance itself. So they know enough to not do the substance, but they'll do everything else, even the intimacy that comes with that type of substance, right? They even orbit around the same people and the same type of characters, right? So that they can still remain connected to the lifestyle. That's why they provide mentorship, right? So that these types of people will look up to you, right? So you are, but what you want is effectively to still be connected somehow in one way, in a meaningful way, that is undeniable and unavoidable, but you want to still remain connected to the lifestyle associated with that substance. So, but also you don't want to go to prison for it. You don't want to be punished. You don't want to face the consequences. You don't want the time that you did and the pain that you felt and the suffering that you endured. You don't want that to mean nothing, even though it does, right? It means absolutely nothing. So what do? You provide mentorship and guidance and all kinds of things. All those things are good and all, but what they indicate is, on the one hand, an inability to move forward with your life because, there's really no need for you to be doing any of this. there's really no need for you to be doing that. Like, there are professionals who can provide actual adequate help, right? Like, instead of a former addict, just, talking about their own suffering, right? There are actual people that are trained to provide assistance for this, but you're not leaving because you're addicted to the lifestyle. You're not just addicted to the substance, you are addicted to the life. You love the life. And as a practitioner of the deceptive arts, you want to do your best to correct these behaviors in yourself. You want to also do your best to hide these behaviors from other people. But you want to encourage those behaviors in those others. So you don't want to be associated with a certain lifestyle, with a certain crowd, with a certain group of people, even if you know something about that. Don't be associated with it, right? Stay where you know the law is on your side. That way you can control the circumstances and outcomes. But what you want to do is you want to encourage these behaviors in a subtle way, right? So now, if you remember the art of war, the grandmaster of the deceptive arts, Sun Tzu, he teaches us that we must know night and day, times and seasons, right? So you need to know the type of activities that happen by day and the type of activities that happen by night. If you invite someone over for lunch, that's a daytime activity. Right after lunch, they have to go back to work. If you invite them for dinner, that's a nighttime activity. And after dinner, they go to wherever people go after dinner. So what you want to do is you want to take an addict, an alcoholic, and a food addict, and you want to take them out to a nice restaurant in the middle of the night and wait. Just take them out to a nice restaurant in the middle of the night and wait for their natural instincts and inclination to take over and kick in, and watch them betray themselves. The alcoholic will order alcohol. The foodie will order something fatty and rich with empty calories and sugar and salt. And the addict, well, they will be in the bathroom or in the car or somewhere else every 5 to 10 minutes. Every 5 minutes, they gotta step out and they'll be right back. I gotta go here and I'll be right back. Remember that the ability to protect ourselves lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy will be provided by the enemy himself. And you must accommodate yourself to the enemy until the opportunity to strike a final blow comes. So, you must encourage their proclivities and then try and record them, right? Try and keep that evidence, right? Take a selfie or something along with them, right? So you have them indulging while you have yourself acting right. And you can be certain that everyone has bad habits. Every single person. Now, these might not always be illegal in and of themselves, but you can be sure that many of them are destructive. If not to that person themselves, then to their finances, to their livelihoods, to their extended, or the extension of that problem extends itself to their family, right? And some of these are quite easy to identify. They're very blatant and in front of you. So, for instance, people who have a problem with overeating and indulgence in food, they'll probably be overweight, or they'll have fluctuating weight. So, a few months they're, bigger, and a few months they're smaller. So that means that they went somewhere and binge ate and then came back and tried to maintain regular exercise. When somebody makes mistakes, it means that they have no focus. It's probably an indication of exhaustion. And exhaustion and tiredness is probably an indication of poor sleep. Staying out all day is an indication, or rather, all night is an indication of really a combination of bad habits, which is what we're talking about right here. Your job as a practitioner of the deceptive arts is to find these bad habits and encourage them in everyone that you know. Even if you have to admit to struggling with the same problem, especially if it's true. If you had struggled with a particular problem and you've moved on with your life and repaired it, to admit that you have had that similar struggle, that similar problem in a real meaningful way, or you've had a problem quite similar to that problem. This will let the bender and the counterpart know that they are not alone. It'll give them that feeling of unity and inclusiveness. Having someone relate to them about the same struggle makes them feel like their issue is legitimate and therefore worthwhile and noteworthy, which which means that they won't stop doing whatever that they're doing. It means that the bad habit is not going to stop. You have to understand that if they can find someone to relate to them and legitimize their behavior, that's an indication that that behavior will not stop. People will spend years um, dealing and living with the implications and consequences of bad habits without ever changing them. Just think about that. They'll live years with a bad habit and do absolutely nothing to change it. And if you indicated to them that they could change the situation, they would just tell you that this is how things go. This is how it really is. Especially the big money spenders. They'll tell you, oh man, you gotta spend money to do this. You gotta spend money to date. You gotta spend money to make money. You know, and now they're spending money on yachts, on jets, trips, on meals in restaurants, expensive cars, luxury hotels and apartments, just blowing through money. Just blowing through money. Now, some of that stuff is actually pretty useful and pretty awesome. And it all costs money. All the good things in life cost money. You have to understand that. And if you have bad spending habits, all that's going to destroy you. It doesn't matter how much money you are making. If you spend it all, then it's all gone. Think about that. It doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you keep. If it's one thing, we discussed the illicit substances and the bad health habits, but spending money recklessly, oh, that's just wrong. That is just careless. you know um and it's not just the apartments and the hotels and the cars and the debts, right? It's also the dates, the dating, the gifts, the sports events, the shows, the clothes, the shoes, the jewelry. The list of things really is endless that you can buy. Really, there's just too much for you to buy. And some people are determined to buy as much of it as they can. And the more you make, sorry, I beg your pardon, the more you spend, the more they'll make. And the more they'll make, I assure you, the more you'll spend. And if you think they'll just run out of things to make, they'll just make the same thing in different colors. Now, isn't that something? And there are people who buy all of them in all of the colors. I'm one of those people. When I get something that I kind of like, there I am buying it in various different colors. And don't forget the intimacy addicts. The ones that are having intimacy out there without a vasectomy, the ones that aren't vasectomized. Of course, we already know the outcome that awaits them. And that outcome is very simply the dark dimension. It's legal matrimony and the dark dimension. All the guys that used to call themselves the players, the the Max, the Casanova, the Romeos, the Romantics, right? All these men are headed to one place and one place only, and that's the dark dimension. Remember all the players of your youth, right? Those men are all family men now. They all have responsibilities and lifelong obligations. They have bills all day, bills all night, bills every single day, and they will pay those bills forever. This is the consequence of bad habits. This is the consequence of having bad habits and not protecting yourself from those bad habits. Now, everybody has bad habits. And if intimacy is your bad habit, man, you just need to get a vasectomy. Just be logical. Because otherwise, you know exactly what's going to happen. If it's not marriage, it's child support, right? And if it's marriage, that comes with divorce and then child support, you know. And this all happens, quite frankly, because you have no self-control or no will to control yourself. You don't even control your own reproduction. Reproduction happens to you automatically. And self control is really the key to maintaining good and sound and healthy habits while avoiding the ones that are detrimental to your overall well being. The last and important point that I want to make before we move on to the edification, which is actually a very good reading about habits. I think there's 14 of them, 13 or 14 habits, right? But the last thing I want to discuss before we move on, and this is an important point that I want to make about people who maintain bad habits, and that is a clear indication that you can't trust those people. You cannot trust a person that has bad habits or whose bad habits that person allows you to discover. So it's one thing to have bad habits, everybody has them. But to allow people to discover your proclivities, even if they're not illegal, but if you indicate that you overeat, that kind of thing, or you don't exercise, that kind of thing, right? That is a clear indication that you can't trust that person. You can't trust that person because they don't even keep the promises they make to themselves. So not only can you not trust them, they cannot trust themselves either. You can't trust a person who does not keep the promises they make to themselves. And that's the most important thing to always remember about people with bad habits is that the first person that they betrayed is themselves. Just think about that. The first person that you're betraying is yourself by simply not knowing yourself. You pick up bad habits by not knowing yourself. Know thy enemy and know thyself, the Grandmaster says. And I always say self-control, self-determination. Know thyself. Know thyself, right? If you knew yourself, then any proclivities that you would have some kind of positive effect, and you would hide those and secure them. You wouldn't allow them to destroy your life. That's an indication of not just poor choices, but also bad habits. And that's not a person that you can trust. You really cannot trust people who maintain bad habits that are detrimental to themselves. So today's article is titled Your Bad Habit or How Your Bad Habits Affect Your Health. I think that's a fitting title. I didn't really go into many details in the monologue about the types of habits because they list them here so magnificently, and we're going to read through them. This says it was the credit is given to Dr. Poonam Sachdev. I think we've read Dr. Sachdev's work before. It was medically reviewed by the good doctor, and it was published on the 11th of June 2025, so very recently. And it comes from the people over at webmd.com, and there is the link directly to the article itself. And it reads, so they just go right ahead and list them, right? So they didn't do any type of you know, introduction or anything. Number one is cracking your knuckles. Okay, I crack my knuckles. I'm always in like an air conditioned room, like all day long. So I do feel a little bit of tension in that, and I'll crack my knuckles. But yeah, maybe my neck too. Depends on where I'm sitting and how I'm sitting. It says it doesn't just annoy your friends and co-workers. It doesn't annoy me when somebody cracks their knuckles. People crack their knuckles around me all the time. It doesn't really annoy me, but it might annoy you. It may not be very good for you either, really. A substance called synovial fluid. Synovial fluid. We gotta update our synapses to accommodate synovial fluid. Keeps your joints moving easily. So that's what moves your joints, the synovial fluid. Synovial fluid. The sound of your knuckles, the sound your knuckles make when they crack, so to speak, comes when you pop tiny bubbles in that fluid. If you do it all the time, you're more likely to have swollen hands and weaker grip over time. It doesn't seem to raise your chances of arthritis, though. Okay, so cracking your knuckles, it's a bad habit, but it doesn't have any severe medical consequences. So it says I'm more likely, so there's a chance. So of the people who develop swollen hands and weaker grip over time, I'm more likely to do it, but this isn't everyone. I mean, but to be fair, the older you get, the weaker your grip gets, right? But you can get those I don't know, those hand exercise things to improve your grip. I have those. They work. They work. I feel my hands getting stronger, but not by much. Not much than what they would usually. I don't know if grip is all that important as you age. Maybe it is for some people, but this is it. This is the consequence of cracking your knuckles. You might weaken your grip. This is not a thing. Biting your nails. While I don't bite my nails, right? I just clip them. I don't really mind clipping them. It never bothered me. I never found that somebody who bites their nails, is troublesome to me. Now some people say it's a bad habit. I could care less really, but let's see. This can damage your teeth as well as the skin around your nail bed, which can lead to infection. Okay, so yeah, it'll damage your teeth and the skin around your nails. Wouldn't clipping your nails do the same thing, I suppose, right? But any wound can lead to infection. You also may get more colds and other illnesses when you put your fingers, which often carry germs, in your mouth. Okay, now this I agree with. But the same thing could happen when you eat. So you have to be washing your hands. I'm constantly washing my hands. I'm the kind of guy who will walk into work and I will shake everybody's hand. Hey, good morning, how you doing? Hey, good morning, how you doing? And I'll give you a firm grip. And I'll shake like 50, 60 hands sometimes. All in the morning process, right? And I'll go straight to the bathroom and wash my hands. Immediately wash my hands. It's the first thing I do. I won't even drink a cup of tea until I've done it. I don't eat until I've washed my hands. But I will, I'll shake hands with my right hand, but I'll eat with my left hand. I practically work with my right hand, but I'll do my best to try and eat with my left hand, even though that's it's a difficult habit to employ because you use your right hand for everything. But otherwise, I'm constantly washing my hands. And I don't take food from people, so I'll take it if it's wrapped, or it's on a plate. You've dished it on a plate, and I can eat for myself. But what I won't take is something from somebody's hands and put it straight into my mouth. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, especially somebody whose hand I just shook. Like if I just shook your hand, then I know something isn't right. And if you haven't washed your hands, I'm not eating anything that's in another person's hands. It says, I mean, and it's not like I'm scared of like being poisoned or espionage or anything like that. I'm really not that important. I just don't want to eat your germs. It's gross, right? It says it can help to keep your nails neatly trimmed or manicures. Yeah, just clip them. If stress could be the reason or for your habit, you might try things like exercise to manage it. Talk to your doctor if you want help stopping. Do you need to speak to a doctor to stop biting your nails? Just clip your nails once or twice a week, man. Then you don't need, then the need goes away, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know. Never bothered me. Never really bothered me. Number three, you cheat yourself on sleep. Okay, now this is an important one. If you don't get enough sleep, you're not just turning yourself into a daytime zombie, a bender. You also could be more likely to have high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and depression. And it might be harder for you to learn and remember things. Set a regular sleep routine and stick with it. And do your best to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You've heard the saying, people say you get 24 hours of the day. You get the same 24 hours. This is not true. You actually get 16 hours of the day. You get 16 hours of the day in order to be productive, and rest and recover and live and date and do whatever the hell you want. You get just 16 hours, 8 of which are for sleep. This is true for every human being. Some of the best people, they try to bring it down to 7, they try to bring it down to 6 hours, and then they burn out. The truth is that they just burn out, right? They do it for a little while, and then after some time they find out that it's completely unsustainable, and then they burn themselves out, right? And once they burn out, then they start to feel stress, blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, depression, and all kinds of things. It doesn't matter why you need sleep. It really doesn't matter why you need sleep. It doesn't matter what job you do, whether you're an athlete, whether you're healthy, whether you're unhealthy. You need sleep. You need to just accept this, and you need to get the right amount of sleep. Everybody needs this. Sleep is the great equalizer. Everybody needs it. And the people who don't get it, it's going to ruin your life. Not getting any sleep is going to ruin your life. Seriously, it is. It is just that serious. I get 8 hours of sleep every day, and I'm happy to sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice in the name of sleep. Really, I will sacrifice. Like, if I know I'm going to be up all night, I'm going to sleep all day. The day before, not the day after. So I'm not going to be up all day and then be up all night. One of the things that I do when I'm traveling is, some days I have to go to work, have a full days of work, and then travel in the evening or late at night. On those days, I'll stay up and then just sleep on the plane, right? But when I sleep on the plane, I'm crashing. I'm out. Especially if it's an 8-hour flight, I won't even, I won't even eat anything. I won't even greet the cabin crew. I'll greet them on the way in. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Go straight to my seat, sit down, and sleep. Right? 8 hours, and wake up at my destination. I do it all the time. But what I cannot do is sacrifice sleep. And for those insomniacs who are wondering, oh, what if I have insomnia and I can't sleep? You need to practice. You need to practice sleep the way you practice everything else until you get it right. And then you need to repeat that action every single day for the rest of your life. But you're going to need sleep, right? I don't care what these moguls tell you. I'm successful, I'm a billionaire, I don't sleep. It doesn't matter. You're going to burn out, you're going to frustrate yourself, and everyone around you is not going to like you. Or you're taking something to keep you awake, right? And eventually, whatever you're taking is just, it's not worth it. Because whatever you're taking is only giving you like 1 or 2 extra hours of the day, which quite frankly, you don't really need all that much. And what you do in those 2 hours is insignificant. Really, and what you're getting from whatever it is you're taking is also insignificant. 2 hours of sleep will do more for you than any medication ever invented by man. That extra 2 hours that you're not getting is actually worse for you than anything that you're doing that's productive. It's actually causing you to be less productive. You'd be better off getting 8 hours of sleep and just killing it for 16 hours straight. You'd be way more productive than, working 18 hours and only getting 6 hours of sleep. That's just not working. It's never gonna work. 8 is the number. 8 hours of sleep is the number of hours of sleep that you need. If you stick with that, you'll be fine. Anything less than that, no, you're not gonna pull it off. And this is known, right? You're gonna just be ridiculous, right? You're not gonna be effective. You're gonna be stressed. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes. The next bad habit is for you music lovers that blast your headphones. I don't know if I've ever blasted my headphones. Like, I've turned the music up on my earphones. Sure, I've done that. But I mean, I think earphones are loud enough. Like, there's a volume that's loud enough for you to hear and not be interfered with other people. I use earphones every day and I never feel the need to blast them. Never have. It's just enough. I can hear just enough. Sometimes I use them when I'm driving. Sometimes I'll use them for work if there's like online meetings or that kind of thing. Sometimes I'll use them for my own entertainment. I never use them when I'm exercising. I don't want to put sweat in my earphones. Some people do. They exercise with earphones on. That to each his own. But I never felt the need to just turn them up to a deafening volume. What would be the point? You're already loud enough. It's already loud enough that you can't hear anything else. Why make it deafening? It says here, sound is measured by decibels. Normal conversation is about 60 decibels. It's best to keep the volume in your headphones below 75, about as loud as a vacuum cleaner to be safe. And don't listen for more than a couple of hours at a time. You're more likely to lose hearing as you age if you're around loud noise. If you're around loud noise a lot, I beg your pardon, that happens with more than half of us by age 75. Hearing loss in older adults is linked to thinking problems and even brain issues. This is very interesting stuff. So, if you abuse your eardrum at a young age, later on there's a high chance that you're going to experience hearing loss. Now imagine working in the music industry, right? Every day, all day, and then you turn 60 or 75 and you can't hear music anymore. This is the consequences of that. But again, I ask myself, it's one thing to be in loud environments, every ever so often, which I really try to avoid for strategic reasons, right? And also, it's just not for me, You don't want to be places where you can't hear things, can't see things, can't anticipate things, right? But also, the consequences of living that life is later on you lose your hearing. and we all lose our hearing sometimes, but I think what they're talking about here is severe hearing loss, where you may need even to learn sign language. Number five, surf before bed. Do I do this? Yeah, I surf before bed and right after I work out. I'm online all the time. I'm online right now, right? Not waves, the internet. The blue light given off by electronic gadgets like phones, computers, and TVs can mess up your sleep. I suppose. I mean, I haven't really noticed. I haven't really noticed. I sleep just fine, and especially after a run. So I'll run before I sleep, and then I'll give myself an hour. So I'll run in the evening around say 5, 6 ish, you know. Rest, make a video, sleep, right? So, and by then I'm pretty tired too, so it helps. It says in some studies show that too much of any kind of nighttime light might be linked to cancer, especially breast and prostate, diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. That's interesting. Any kind of nighttime light. I honestly, I like sleeping in a very dark room. I always have, right? The darker the room, the better. So I don't really have much light coming into the room, except I do have my phone on. So if I get a call or a message, that will create light in the room. But generally, I sort of have to wake up. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to expect that I'm going to wake up in a room where I can't see anything. So one of the things that I do is I clear the path directly from where my bed is, out the room, or through the door rather, into the bathroom. So it's like a straight line. And there's nothing on the floor, nothing in between, no furniture, so I don't bump myself if I happen to wake up in the middle of the night. But generally, I do not. Generally, I sleep through the night, right? It's not a problem for me. And surfing I haven't noticed any difference personally, right? But they say here that this can cause problems. It says calm yourself before bed. If you want to read something, open a book, keep your bedroom dark and quiet for better sleep. Now, this is a problem for me. Reading before bed, no way. No, 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 no. Not for me. This is an absolute problem for me because it'll be bedtime and I'm halfway through a chapter and that chapter has got me gripped. Now I can't sleep for however long it takes me to finish the chapter. And don't let the chapter hang or end with like some powerful cliffhanger. You know what these writers do? They'll have something so critical happen to a character at the end of a chapter. And then in the next chapter, they won't even address it. They'll just move on to other characters in another situation, only to return later to address the serious issue here. And I mean, that could be 2 chapters in, and then all the way there's other things happening that are building up the story. And I want to know how all these things are going to be resolved. No, no, no. No, 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 no sleeping. I mean, no books before bed. Not for me. Maybe this is the opposite problem for me. I can scroll my phone through before bed and it'll bore me to death and I'll just fall asleep. There are days where I fall asleep while scrolling. This just indicates to you how little I care about people's lives on the internet. I'll be scrolling and just fall asleep right there. And then think to myself, you know what, I'm wasting my time. Why am I scrolling all this? And go to bed. But a good book is a reason. I could be up all night reading a book. And I've been there. I've been up all night reading a book thinking this isn't healthy. They blame the phones and the TVs. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've fallen asleep in front of the TV. Just turn the TV on, sports game, sleep. Movie, sleep. Right? But put a book in front of me and I'm up all night. This is a problem. Know thyself. Know thyself. That's what I'm talking about. You don't want to think, oh, well, let me read a book before bed and you're up for 4 extra hours. No, you don't want those problems. You really don't want those problems. Sit for long periods. I don't really have this issue. I think I have a very balanced type of day where I'm standing and sitting, but more standing than sitting, really, to be honest with you. And the higher up I go, the less I seem to be able to sit, you know. And it went from standing to standing still to walking short distances. Now I'm just walking nonstop. That's how it goes. Just remember that you want to climb that ladder, there's no stopping, there's no time to sit down. You want to climb that ladder, it means you got to keep moving. Sit for long periods of time. Most Americans spend too much time in chairs. I can see that. Part of the problem is the modern workplace where you may hunker over your computer for hours on end. This slows down your metabolism, which means you could gain weight. It means you will gain weight. It's also linked with other health problems, including heart disease. There's an easy fix though. Just get up and then move around. Even a 10-minute walk each day can help. You need to, if you're a bachelor, a vasectomite, you need to be running at least 30 minutes every day. Right? Now I know the sitting itself won't, do the problem. Sorry, the running itself won't fix the problem of sitting. This is what my words are getting mixed up. It won't fix the problem of sitting around all day, but it will help you with the weight. So if you're sitting around all day, it means you're not burning calories, and you need to burn calories as quickly as you can. Running 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour every day will do that. It'll burn a day's worth of calories. So having monitored myself, I'm aware that over a day of standing and instructing and doing presentations, right? If you're presenting all day, 2, 3 hours at a time, you gotta do two presentations, right? Or the same presentation twice, which is really what it is. It's never two presentations. It's always the same presentation twice. On that day, you can burn, and then you go out, go grocery shopping, which is a lot of walking, walk around the mall, do some shopping, whatever. You can burn, 400 calories, 350 calories all day long. All day long on your feet, you could burn 300 calories. If you jog slowly for 30 minutes, you can burn 500 calories, right? That's almost double. If you do 40 minutes, you're absolutely burning 500 calories. If you do an hour, you can burn 1,000 calories. About an hour, 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, you can burn 1,000 calories. So, if weight gain is the problem, walking for 10 minutes won't fix the issue, right? So it has to be a decent run. But yeah, sitting for long periods of time can be problematic. I know that the fruit electronics company, their smartwatch tells you to stand up every hour. I have that on there. And on days when I'm sitting and I don't have the option of standing up, it can go off and I have to just ignore it. But, not too many days like that. I hope you don't have too many days like that. Otherwise, you just need to walk somewhere or run, better yet. Number 7 is drink too much. Men who have more than 14 alcoholic beverages a week, so that's 2 a day, and women who have more than 7, that's 1 a day, are more likely to have kidney disease, liver disease, digestive issues, heart problems, bone damage, and even some cancers. So yeah, alcohol is a big problem. Alcohol is a big problem if you're a drinker. Now, I say this in every video. Personally, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I really never had a problem with alcohol. It just wasn't for me. It just happened to be that way, you know. Really, it's all a pure coincidence. And I tried it. Don't get me wrong. I tried it. I tried it and liked it, and then tried it and didn't like it, right? Mixed reviews. So there were some things about it that kind of worked for me and other things that didn't work for me. So on the one hand, I had a great night that night. On the other hand, I was sick for 3 days, right? So, but I didn't have a problem with the being sick. I just couldn't sustain being sick all the time. It's not like I was like, oh my God, I'm so sick, I'll never drink again. Never had that moment. But I did have the moment where I was like, you know what? This just isn't doing it for me. It just isn't coming together for me the way that I want. After a few, one or two good times, the rest of the nights aren't as good as I thought they would be. They were more expensive, they were more damage, less of what you want. So it's like you spend more and more and you're getting less and less of what you want, which is to have fun. So it just didn't happen for me like that. But if you do have a problem with alcohol, I can imagine it's only just the worst thing. Because alcoholic people, man, when you're drunk, you break things, you insult people, you're belligerent, it's just bad. It's just bad all around. And then when you're sober again, you just seem to be okay. But over and above being rude and inconsiderate and uncouth and uncontained, you have kidney disease, liver disease, just digestive issues, heart problem, bone damage, and some cancers waiting for you on the other side of that drink. Studies have shown that moderate drinking, up to a drink a day for women and two a day for men, could possibly lower your chances of certain heart conditions. Yeah, you're not having one or two drinks. Give me a break. You're finishing the whole wine bottle and opening another one. Nobody has two drinks. Nobody has one drink and goes home. And I'll tell you why that is. If you're already at an establishment and you know that drinking under the influence is a crime, the truth is that you get the same punishment for having one drink as you would if you had 100 drinks. So you figure, well, since I already have one and I'm not drunk, I could have another one. And then you have two. And then on the third one, you decide, you know what, I'm already drunk anyway. There's no point in stopping now. Then you have three. And the third drink confirms your theory. So now you've got problems. But you don't think they're problems because you're having a good time. But I also know that you're not having two drinks. You're definitely not having one drink. Ladies, one drink? Absolutely not. Give me a break. Give me a break. I've never seen a woman in my life drink one drink. Any type of drink. I've never seen a woman drink less than 3 drinks. I've never seen a woman drink less than 3 drinks. To be honest with you, I've seen them go from 3 to 100, but never 3, never 2. It's never been 2. It's always 3 or more. And I don't know, maybe you guys have a different experience, but I've never seen that. 2 drinks? No way. No way. This is not happening. They say 2 drinks is healthy. Sure, but you guys aren't having 2 drinks, right? That's like saying, oh, well, people don't cheat. Huh. Yeah, right. But if you don't drink alcohol, then that's not a reason to start. Yeah. If you don't drink, you don't need it. Absolutely, you don't need it. There's just no point. There's just no point, right? But if you do, yeah, man, you might want to cut down or do what you can. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Really, I don't know how it is to be able to cope with this kind of thing. Eat too much is number eight. Okay, so I've had this, especially when I was in the romance wars and relationships. That's all we did. Was watch a show and eat. And if the counterpart wanted to drink, they'd have a drink. For me, not so much a big deal, right? But it was too much eating. I find that if you're eating more than one meal a day, that's too much. But I find also that as long as I'm drinking enough liquids, I'm okay. So if I'm drinking, in fact, they say it's about 8 glasses of water a day. I would say I have around that many cups of coffee. And yes, I would say that I have around 8 to 12 cups of coffee and tea a day. And I would do that to suppress the hunger. I find that as long as I got something in my hand that I'm drinking all day long, that I'm not really reaching for anything to eat or that kind of thing. I'm not reaching for a meal. This is not every day, but I mean, I drink every day, but some days I do get hungry again, right? So despite drinking all the liquid, I might still be hungry. But for most days, I find that one meal is more than sufficient, right? But yeah, overeating, that can be a problem. It says if you make a habit of it, even if it's healthy food, you're likely to gain weight. This is true. You can eat fruits and vegetables and eat too much and still gain weight. That can lead to heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure, and it can raise your chances of certain kinds of cancers. Check your portion sizes before meals and measure out your snacks if you have in front of the TV, so you know exactly how much you're eating. Throw away all the food in your house or give it away. If you want to stop eating, like I'm telling you the truth, I have no food in my house. I have one, I don't know what to call it, packet of turkey strips. And there are 10 strips in that. And that packet is frozen, it's in the freezer. Inside my fridge is, maybe I'll take a picture of my fridge one day to show you, is condiments, ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard. I have some pesto and water. So it's just condiments and water and one packet of 10 turkey strips. And that's it. The 10 turkey strips are there in case like my hunger is unbearable. Then I have to eat something. But generally, if I want food, I need to leave my house to go get it. I really don't keep any food at home. I'm being dead serious. I have no food in my house. It, and this is not to imply that I don't have the money to buy the food or the groceries or whatever. I do. But if I have it, I'm just going to eat it. And I eat everything that I have. For the one, I don't want it to spoil because I bought it. I don't want it to be a waste of money. But on the other hand, food and hunger are the best appetizers. So you won't know you're hungry until you see food, right? And then you'll be like, oh, okay, I need food. But seriously, I keep no food in my house. I keep things to drink, so I'll have coffee, I'll have hot chocolate. Well, not hot chocolate. Hot chocolate has too many calories. So I have coffee, I have pure cocoa, I have tea, and then I'll have some milk to go with the tea, right? But I have a little bit of milk in the water, tea and the coffee. I drink my tea with coffee. Sorry, with I drink my coffee and tea with milk, but no food at all. zero, zero, zero food, and it's helped me a lot. It's really helped me a lot because I find that just having food means I'm gonna eat the food. And I know you have food thinking, well, what if I get hungry? You will get hungry, right? And instead of making something to drink, because you only have something to drink, you're gonna grab the food before the drink. I did. I did. Number nine is eat too quickly. It can leave you less satisfied and make you more likely to overeat over the course of the day. If you slow down, you could feel fuller with less because your body has a chance of realizing you've eaten enough. It can help you focus when you eat. Take small bites and chew them well. Um, I don't even know what that means. You gotta eat slower. I just eat at whatever pace that I eat in, but I eat like a certain amount. I'm trying to have like a specific amount that I'm gonna eat and then not eat after that. So it doesn't matter how much, how quickly I eat, right? If you overeat, it doesn't matter. If you undereat, then it's fine. So just eat the right amount, and it doesn't matter how fast you eat. I don't know what kind of point this is. It doesn't make any sense to me. Number 10, skip flossing, or this is a bad habit. Guys, you need to floss. You need to floss, right? Did you did a full brush? Isn't that enough? No. You need to clean between your teeth too if you want to do all you can to get rid of plaque. The sticky bacteria filled film that causes cavities. Too many, too much plaque also can lead to gum disease, a serious condition that's linked to your health issues like stroke, heart disease, and diabetes. I don't know what any of that means, but effectively, this is what I know. When you eat food, as you are chewing, food goes in between your teeth, it goes around your teeth, it goes in the back of your teeth, right? And some of it gets stuck in your teeth all day long. Even if, like, you think you got it out, there's still some of it. And that can stay in there overnight. Even if you brush your teeth, you don't get it out. You can only get it out through flossing. Depending on what you ate, something sweet, something with sugar, something salty, something spicy, something fatty. If that stuff gets stuck there, it can cause your teeth to rot, honestly, right? And that's like a trip to the dentist, repairs, all kinds of things. And the added disadvantage of having your teeth rot, right? You're gonna go need filling and all kinds of things. But effectively, it's unavoidable. There's no point in brushing your teeth if you're not gonna floss because you didn't get it all out. Then why are you brushing your teeth? To keep them clean, right? Well, you're not cleaning them. There's just no point. You need to floss. You need to floss. Like sunscreen, you need it, right? You need sunscreen. I don't care what your complexion is. You need sunscreen. You also need to floss, right? That's a terrible habit. For people who don't floss, that's how you know that people have, when people have bad dental health and they brush their teeth every day, it tells you that they're not flossing. If you have bad dental health, but you brush your teeth and you like changing toothbrushes every ever so often, you're doing all the right things, but you still have bad dental health, it means you're not flossing. And many people don't floss. I was also a non-believer of floss, for those of you who don't believe it, until I tried it. And when I did, I realized just how much food was still left in my mouth. Right? I don't sleep until I've flossed. Right? Like I need to make sure that I've flossed everything before I go to sleep, and then I'll floss again when I wake up. Right? And brush my teeth and so on. Right? But really, you have to floss. To eat junk food, soda, candy, pastries, and lots of calories and little nutrition, and all that sugar gets into your blood too quickly and in your teeth, right? So yeah, sugar, fat, salt, all those things. Those kinds of things are linked to serious health problems like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Complex carbs with more fiber and nutrition, whole grains, fruits, vegetables take longer to digest, satisfying your hunger and giving you steady energy. Good fats like nuts and seed can also be part of a healthy diet. My problem is I don't know what none of that means. Whatever I eat help makes me put on weight. Doesn't matter if it's a banana or an apple or orange or if it's a hamburger. Whatever I eat, I put on weight, right? And the more of it I eat, I put on weight. So I just cut out the whole thing. If I'm hungry, I need to go. And I'm really like this. Like, if I'm hungry, I have to go buy the thing, eat the thing right here, right now. When it's done, I leave and go back home where I have no food, right? It's not often where I'll take that food home with me. Sometimes I will, but not very often because I need to eat it right then and there. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to induce me to eat again later and then eat again later until the food itself is finished. Right? This is not to imply that I have no self control or that I have a problem with eating. It's really a situation of monitoring my health and calorie intake. So I'm not starving myself in a way where I don't have access to food. I have plenty of access to food. I have too much access to food, right? So for me to be able to really control my calorie intake, I have to limit the access, the scope, and the distance, right? So I have to limit the access and the scope and increase the distance between me and the food. Not just the distance, but also the time, right? And then I have to bring the things that I know will keep me full and satiated, like liquids and other things, close so that I reach those things first, right? And then retreat. And then if those things still don't make, because there are days where I'm like really, really, really hungry, where my body really needs food. And in those days when I've had those liquids and I've gone through the liquid barrier, then next I'll go to the food. But then I'll make sure that whatever it is, I'll eat it right then, right there, and then return back to the position for however long it takes. But really, I'm at a point where it's just one meal a day, and I'm satisfied with that. Like, it's one good meal, and I'm not starving for anything. But as for junk food, this is a problem, right? And for me, I couldn't tell which one was the junk and which one was the food. Because in the shops, it's all kind of the same. It all looks the same. It's all packaged the same. It's all advertised the same. So I really can't tell the difference one way or another. I just cut it all out, right? Simpler, simpler. But now this is my thing. It's like, I don't eat anything specific, right? So I do try to avoid certain things. So I'll try to avoid, fast food, French fries, soft drinks, that kind of thing. But ultimately, I'll eat whatever I want. I really don't have like a specific diet to say I only eat this. Yes, I only keep one or two things in the home, so that if I'm like hungry and it's like the middle of the night, I don't want to be going outside in the middle of the night. I'd rather just make some strips, and I'll deal with it tomorrow. But otherwise, it's really about keeping the distance away from the food, right? And just continuing and maintaining good weight and a good body structure, and then exercising on top of that. Spending too much time alone, okay, yeah, this is definitely me. This is definitely me. But also, I've been in enough relationships, to appreciate the time that I have alone. So it's not that I'm, spending too much time alone. It's just maybe that I haven't had enough time alone. Yeah, I've had enough time alone. Yeah, I spend too much time alone. That's definitely me. Bachelor for life. It's not how many people you know or how often you see them. What matters is that you feel connected to others. I do not. If you don't, you're more likely to have high blood pressure, depression, and brain issues and inflammation. I have neither. I don't have no blood pressure or depression, and I think my brain is fine, and I am not inflamed. Oh, well, what does that mean? And I spend a lot of time alone. You know, I don't know. If you feel alone, join a social club. No, thank you. Reconnect with your family and friends. Oh, no. Or start something new that involves other people. Not doing that. Join a book club or learn to play tennis or bridge, for example. Let's just move on to the cigarettes. Number 13, cigarettes. Smoke cigarettes. This bad habit affects nearly every organ in your body. Oh, wow, this is serious. I also don't smoke cigarettes. It can lead to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, bronchitis, emphysema, and other health problems. Yeah, smoking cigarettes is a big problem. Smoking cigarettes is just a problem. Like, there's nothing good that comes from it. It also raises your risk of tuberculosis, eye problems, and immune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis. Man, this stuff is bad. And if you spend a lot of time around someone who smokes, you're more likely to have asthma, heart disease, lung cancer, or a stroke. Talk to your doctor about quitting. Yeah, I'd much rather you use the patches, the pills, the gums. I don't know if they make any drinks, but the vapes, right? I'd much rather you do that than be a smoker. Even cigar smoke, you know. There was a time, a young influential and easily influenced ancient one thought that smoking cigars might be something worth doing. And you sort of try it, and it's just like there's just no point to it. But all the problems, so they say you don't inhale, you just sort of savor the flavor. It's all the same. I don't know what flavor. Anyway, now what you have is tobacco smoke rolling around in your mouth. You're bound to get something go wrong, man. Daily, weekly. You've seen like smokers' lips. They're always so dark, so brown, so something about them. Like, it's like you spend all day burning your lips. Something is bound to go wrong. I don't know about smoking. Even cigars, I don't know about smoking. Now, I'm not advocating for vapes or patches or pills or gums. I'm just saying, like, any of those things are infinitely better than smoking anything. Smoking anything, you know, um, anything. There are some people that will talk about the health benefits of certain plants, even the plants. The fact that you are taking smoke, something that is burning smoke, and putting it into your lungs, that is a problem. Whatever you're consuming cannot have smoke in your lungs, right? It's a problem. It's a problem. Really, it's a problem, right? So, but as for cigarette smoke, that's just the worst problem of all. Yeah, you want to stay away from that, and you want to stay away from smokers because then you get all kinds of problems. So it doesn't just harm you, the smoker, it harms people around you. The last list is go to a tanning bed. I wasn't expecting this one. Um, I don't think tanning at all is very good. Even tanning in the sun. I read an article that said effectively you shouldn't be getting more than about 20 or 30 minutes in the sun. Any more than that, if you're not covered, you start to get problems, skin cancer, and so forth. Now, don't, I'm not a skin doctor or a dermatologist or an oncologist for cancer, but I'm just telling you what I've read, right? And this is why they advocate for sunscreen and hats and all kinds of things. This is why they have umbrellas at the beach, right? There's a reason why they put the umbrellas there. It's because after some time, you burn. So I don't know about tanning as a whole. I really don't see, I haven't heard anything good. Like, I haven't heard somebody say, well, tan for an hour a day and you get these tremendous benefits. Maybe the benefits are optical, but otherwise, health wise, I cannot mention not one single benefit of tanning of any kind off the top of my head. It's just not a good idea. Women with lighter hair and skin who get skin cancer more often are also more likely than others to use tanning beds, which can make the changes of it even higher. And the younger you are when you start, the more likely you are to get it. Well, there you go. There you go. Right. So it causes cancer, certain types of cancer. So when you start younger and you do it over a long period of time, it increases the chances of that cancer. Topical sunless tanning products are generally considered a safer alternative to sunbathing as long as they are used as directed. Make sure not to inhale or apply to areas like lips, nose, or mouth. I read the instructions on how to use sunscreen. Effectively, what you're supposed to do is use it 10 minutes before you go outside. So you're supposed to apply a thick layer, well, a sufficient layer of it 10 minutes before you go outside. And then when you're outside, you get about 30 minutes of protection. Then you gotta reapply it and reapply it. So it's not the kind of thing that you apply in the morning and it works all day. You really need to be constantly reapplying it. Something like every 2 or 3 hours. If you're outside in the sun, you need to be applying sunscreen several times for it to work effectively. So it's really not like a one thing and then you get 6 hours in the sun. If you're in the sun for 6 hours, you might need to apply the sunscreen at least once every hour. At least once every hour. But check the instructions for yourself and see how often they say you should apply the product. It's very often, which doesn't imply that it doesn't work, but I would say you're better off just covering, right? One of the reasons I have like a uniform style, so I'll wear a white shirt and some blue trousers, right? It's pretty much a suit without the jacket, right? I love suits, so it's pretty much a suit without the jacket, a navy blue suit without the jacket. But effectively, I find that wearing a long sleeve shirt and some long trousers and a hat means I'm covered head to toe, and that's really the only protection you can hope for realistically against the sun. So if you are sensitive about your skin or concerned, you're probably better off covering head to toe. But if you insist on going to the beach, hanging out outside, having outdoor activities, playing in such things, and you've got extreme heat or extreme temperatures, you're probably going to experience problems. And the longer you are outside in the sun or in the tanning bay, the worse it seems to get. But this might not be true for everyone, right? So you want to speak to your doctor and check your conditions. But effectively, this is the end of the edification and also the end of the video. We've seen all of these wonderful bad habits, and I want you to consider your own bad habits and how they affect your health. But not just that, how to exploit this, how to expose the bad habits of others, and of course use them for your own deceptions, but also how to fix the bad habits that you have within yourself and improve yourself. And one of the things you can do is to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy so you don't go get anybody pregnant and you don't go ruin your life and their life too, right? Having intimacy without protection, there's nowhere in the world where they would consider that intelligence or a good habit. So yeah, if you are certain that you don't want to have kids, you don't want to be a father, um, this is not a slight against men who want to have kids or who have already had kids. Some men genuinely, you've already had kids and you don't want any more. Then you are in the best position to go and talk to your urologist about getting a vasectomy, especially if you are experiencing financial difficulties and you know that another kid would ruin your family and destroy the lives of the kids that you have now. It's really not about hurting your kids, right? We're talking about kids that really don't exist, right? You're talking about people that aren't born and may never be born, right? Get a vasectomy, protect the kids that you have now, secure your family, secure your income, secure your future, protect your seed, freeze your sperm first, then get a vasectomy, and then proceed with absolute confidence. Again, like I said, this is the end of the video, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention, and I always will. I'm always very grateful for your viewership. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, he who remains, the Phantom Menace, and the Master of the Deceptive Arts, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.